we're back with another episode 6. I'm with Andrew today, and we
What's
also have
going
a
on?
special guest, Max.
Mm-hmm.
What up, what up, what up? Max
What's
here.
up, Max?
Max Roney.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Max. So we're playing Madden right now. We're playing Madden again. Because you're our guest of the podcast, I do have to ask you a question. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Do you think if you robbed a bank in Las Vegas back in 2007, you could turn into as good of a football player as O.J. Simpson?
Yeah, I think I very much could if I had a strong insight and feeling with what he does. But if the glove don't fit, you gotta quit. All right.
Do you think the robbery probably made his running game better by chance?
Added probably an extra a few hundred yards to his total overall in his career. I'll say that. His speed increased by +2.
All right. If O.J. Simpson was in free agency, would any of you guys sign him to your team?
100%. We need a running back.
Good answer. Good answer. What about you, Andy? NFL
Yeah,
had a team in Kenya. What do you think the name would be?
the Kenyan Heaters.
The Kenyan, yeah,
The Aquatics.
the Aquatics. Okay. You know it's
You know who I
crazy.
would marry is Daniel Jones because he's a Colts now.
Yeah, that's true. How did that make you feel?
It's I think he's good. I honestly don't think he's that bad. I think he's a little low in the head sometimes, but he's like Josh Allen when Josh Allen first came to the league. He was throwing pick up behind pick behind pick, and then now he's like a stud. So I'm hoping because Daniel Jones I think is athletic.
Are you implying that Daniel Jones could be the next Josh Allen?
Well, when you put it that way, I sound kind of stupid. What do you guys feel about Daniel Jones of the Colts? Now you guys can roast my team if you want.
So I will say, I think it is a solid deal. Daniel Jones is, as you stated, athletic, and he has a similar, ish playing style to, Anthony Richardson in terms of the running ability, although not as big, but still, he's a better passer, as we've seen from recent years with the Giants, and being able to at least improve with what he has. I think the scheme wise, it works pretty well with them being more run heavy with Jonathan Taylor and then using him as a receiver as well, which, as you know, is very clear and clutch to have as a running back who can catch. I mean, they've always had a great defense. So as long as that defense is there and then you have you limit the turnovers on offense, I think they're set up for a pretty good season as well, especially in a weak AFC South. Oh shit! I worked.
Johnny thinks I should not be QB, but I'm gonna prove him wrong. Yes, sir.
All I'm saying was like
Interception.
Double coverage. But back to free agency.
Yeah. So what's another thing that we can talk about?
So as with the Rams potentially moving on from Cooper Kupp starting tomorrow, they made a big signing Devontae Adams for roughly 20 per year, which is that's wild.
Right when you said his name.
So I just saw he can still play. And he can still play as saved from his game against Jacksonville, albeit Jacksonville, but he had over like 150 yards, 13 catches. So he can incredibly still play, and he'll, I think, thrive in that Rams offense with Puka Nacua on the other side. So for the Rams as a whole, they're built and set up, especially with how much they hit on the defensive side last year in the draft, drafting the defensive player of the year with Jared Verse. So they're set up pretty well, and then into another team right next to them, the Chargers. They just signed Najee Harris for 1 year, $9 million deal, which I think is pretty good value, especially since he's been in every single game past 4 years. So you have a durability in running back, which you fortunately didn't receive from J.K. Dobbins, as was mentioned throughout his career. He's been injury prone, unfortunately. Great talent, but can't stay healthy. And as they say, availability is the best ability.
Right, which is interesting because that's what brings me back to the whole Devontae Adams thing. If Cooper Kupp were to be able to stay healthy most of the time, then I don't really think that trade goes through. It ever exists. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think the only reason they did that, or maybe you guys can kind of elaborate on what your guys' perspective is on that. It's just, would you really take a Devontae Adams over a consistently healthy Cooper Kupp?
No.
That's a good question to ask, but it's kind of hard to take that into consideration when Cooper Kupp is so injury prone.
Right.
Teams that are near the promised land, quote unquote, the Super Bowl, have the tendency at times to either one, pull back what they did from the previous year and like how much money they employed, but there's also teams who are like the Commanders and actually push the table, such as with the trade for Deebo Samuel. Short term, it's a great deal, 5th-round pick, albeit $20 million price tag, and as we know, last year he had he had like pneumonia, so a bunch of weird injuries, but furthermore, I think it's a good pick, especially with how that offense was ran with a bunch of short screens and such. It's like Kingsbury special at that point. And that's what Debo strives in with the roles of the 49ers.
But what about Aaron Rodgers? What's going on with him? Is he going to go into isolation for 4 months and then come out and say he wants to play again, or what?
Enter 4 months of isolation, I guess.
I like that. I like that. I mean, the Giants aren't the only quarterback on the roster currently is Tommy DeVito, and unless they want to just sell in the year, you want to bring in at least a veteran presence in at quarterback. We don't know how much he currently has left in the tank, but he has something left there, from at least the back end of the playing days with New York and the Jets. From his documentary, if anybody's seen that came out with the whole rehab process from when his
Enigma?
first Enigma.
That's the name of the documentary, Enigma.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch it because it seems really cool. Like, whether you're an Aaron Rodgers fan or not, like, just seeing any quarterbacks behind the scenes, day-to-day life like that, I feel like it's pretty cool. So I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Albeit of course it's from one perspective only, but goes into his whole career from when he grew up, went to boot college up in like in the Bay Area in California, and then a coach took a chance on him at Cal, and the rest is history to where he got to where he is now. All the hard work, everything that he's worked for.
Doesn't it also talk about how he's on the spectrum?
The spectrum, like
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think he's mentioning as. I mean, it's ADHD. I don't know if it's full on spectrum, but he does have some like attention deficit disorders.
What is going on with us right now?
Xavier Worthy got arrested.
And then, so when I was looking more at the article regarding that, it's his fiance was cheating on him. And so not funny that his fiance cheated on him. But so fiance cheated on him. He got drafted, of course, got the nice solid money, being a first round pick, and she was crap.
God damn it, Max.
You can still return it. Oh my god.
I almost did it. But so the girlfriend wanted to essentially, fiance wanted to get the money from him, and in order to exploit that, she'd essentially have to come up with a lie that he beat her and such. But you can see in the mugshot photos, he has his hair torn out. He has hits on his like neck and such. So, and that was determined by his character witness that was absolutely there. That didn't happen at all.
You're saying that he was the one that got beat, not her?
Yeah, similar to Dalvin Cook a couple years ago when there was a domestic violence case. He was the one that was hit, not him hitting his spouse. His wife hit him.
That's what you're rolling with. Because all I saw was Xavier Worthy, something about someone getting beat, and I didn't really look into it.
No, yeah. So that's what my initial thought process was. I'm like, oh, another NFL player beating somebody, especially a family member for whatever reason.
Right.
Tends to be families.
Right. What do you guys know? What have you guys heard of from? I always start off these segments the exact same way. I literally ask Johnny this in the same exact format. What do you guys know, or what have you guys heard of everything that's going on in the stock market, economics, Trump, tariffs? Just literally, just go ahead and spell it out.
You can start, Johnny.
Prescott to throw it.
That the stock market took a really big hit.
He's going to find his running back. It's complete.
Of
And past
panic
the 40
in the stock market, so a
before
lot
he's
of people
out
are
of
selling.
bounds.
So
A
now, like
gain
the
of
Dow
11 to
Jones,
kick off
like
the drive, and it's a quick first down.
And this is what
that's
they're
all I
going to
know
need
for
more
the most part. I think
It's
it's
the
because of
third
the tariffs.
quarter. You're trailing.
Mhm.
You got to come out with a renewed sense of purpose.
Topic
and
of
that's a nice
discussion
way
right
to
now is
kick off
tariffs.
the drive with good yardage and a
Yeah,
first
something
down.
I kind of wanted to ask both you guys since I have both you guys on here. Where all three of us are pretty much the same age. From your perspective, obviously we go about our day-to-day lives, not really thinking about this kind of stuff. But looking outside in, how do you think all of this crazy news
Prescott.
affects our life? Or do you
And
think it's
that is
just noise and it doesn't
incomplete
necessarily
on
affect
the
our life at
coverage.
all?
A little
And it's
too
just
good
part of
there.
politics.
And it's second down.
1-year-old, I think it does somewhat affect our lives because we could all agree that like
As soon as he cut
a
inside,
good like 90% of our audience probably pay for their own gas, and gas prices have gone up.
hmm
A lot of us probably do our own shopping, whether it's clothes or food, and some of our audience, since we're at that college age, some of them do like live on their own. They do dorm,
Prescott
whatever the case may
now.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Johnny how it will affect our daily lives. Like, I grocery shop often. I have to get gas, of course, every basically once a week for work. I remember about 2 weeks ago, it was around the time the tariffs were about to get in place. Slightly before that, my gas. So I go to Costco, shop at Costco, good food. My gas used to be three. It was at 3.49. No, not 4.49.
hmm
My bad. My apologies. 3.89. And then within the next week, up by 20 cents, so it was 4.09. And then a week after that, it was 4.29. And then most recently, I haven't gone like in the past week, but
Damn it.
it was 4.49. So we'll see tomorrow when I go for gas how much it's risen now. But it's like previously, earlier the year, I thought we were in a good spot because we were like $3.50 for gas. A lot of like other third party gas stations were along the same price. Well, slightly higher, of course, because third party, but regardless.
This is
So
interesting because a lot of people outside looking in better stop him. Um, it's interesting to look at because technically you're not wrong that gas prices are going up. Like everyone's feeling it, and even people like us that are our age, our biggest expense is probably going out, and in going out, the largest expense associated or tied directly to that would be gas. How much does it cost me to get to a bar? How much does it cost me to go out and get food with my friends? Gas is super tricky because gas, to a certain degree, we don't even control the price of gas. I mean, the, OPEC, it's the I don't know what OPEC stands for in particular, but OPEC is a government association that basically a bunch of countries are a part of, and they set up legislation and laws that basically determine the price of oil by either cutting the amount that's of barrels a day that's produced, or by increasing the number of barrels that are produced. So reason they do that is because the Saudis, for instance, if they're not selling oil per barrel at a certain price, then they're going to be losing money, and that's basically one of the biggest assets they have to their
mhm.
economy. So even if we go into a recession or what have you, it's not like you're going to see gas prices necessarily fall because they don't want the economy to go down. So what they'll do is, oh, here's a great example during COVID. No one's going out. Gas prices are falling because we have all this oil just sitting here since no one's using it. How can we make it so that our oil prices still stay high and we can end up making money because we're still selling it at a high price? Well, we'll just cut the amount that we produce. And by
Mhm.
cutting the amount we produce, it's simple supply and demand economics.
Yeah.
And that keeps the price high. So, like, tariffs definitely do play a part because when you start importing goods and the cost of importing these goods are higher, then everything goes up with it. In particular, oil, though, damn it to hell. All right, we got to make a major comeback.
Yeah,
In
that's my bad for
particular,
the
the
second part.
oil. is a very tricky thing that it's just interesting to know because I would probably say the average 21-year-old, when it comes to talking about gas prices, would assume that the U.S. government has a lot to do with it. And honestly, I would probably argue we have more to not do with it than we do to actually do with it, if that makes sense, based off what I
Right.
just explained.
Mhm.
So, our previous conversation, we kind of touched on it, where I think you said it, Max. This weekend, Trump was asked if he thinks we're going into a recession, and his answer was, "We're going through a transition period, and I hate to predict those kinds of things." And the market basically not literally took that as in, if we go into recession, we go into recession. And then alluding to what Johnny said, this basically the stock market.
And oh my goodness, here's a fifth interception.
You're gonna throw the ball to me. I kind of gave up
And
at
he
some point.
brings this one back. It's a pick six and a
It's okay.
chance
That's
to
all right. We're
tie
gonna come
it
back.
up.
Wait, they don't love me
And
like they love
Charles
me.
Love
Smith's
you.
offense's interception
Um.
goes in
So yeah.
Continue.
Anyway,
first half.
going back to
Now
that,
follow them into the
like Johnny was
second
saying, the
half, and
stock
those
market fell
defense,
because
they
of
take
certain things like
advantage,
that, where the market
turn that
literally
into a
took it as
pick
in, oh
six.
shoot, Trump,
And that
his
defense doing
policies,
a
he basically
strong
does not
job.
care if we go into
They're
recession or
thinking
not.
about ways to
Which
close
I
this
wouldn't
game
necessarily
out
say
as
that's true.
confidently as they
I
can
just think that
play.
he has a certain
I expect them
agenda
to do exactly
that
that.
he feels is the correct move in this economy. He personally believes in what's called
So they throw the
mercantilism,
pick six. They'll get another
where
shot at it
it's
now.
all
Pitch
about
this one's
trying
in
to
the
increase
air.
government revenue through sources such as tariffs and low taxes,
And no chance to see a
and then
return here
basically
back
being
near the
like, screw all
kickoff.
the other
They'll
countries
move
out there,
this out to the 30-yard line.
which is a policy that a lot of leaders have adopted in the past. I don't know if that would necessarily apply in a situation we're so globalized as we are now that
The Dallas
you would
offense
probably
here
want to
set to
dial that
begin the
back.
drive.
But anyway, bringing it
It's a
back to what we're
game that
talking
they
about.
would rather probably forget
The
about, at
market
least
has
to
been
this point,
crashing
Charles. And
because
one
people
reason
are
the
scared that the
turnovers, the
consumer isn't
turnover on
doing
the
better.
last drive, the
And to your
issue in the
point,
first
that
half as
things
well.
are
And
more
it's really
expensive. And even when
unfortunate for them,
people
helped to put
don't
this game
necessarily
out of
know why things
reach.
are
And even
expensive,
though they won't
it
have
causes people
advantage
to think twice,
themselves,
just
but we know
psychologically
that
speaking, as
winning
to
the
what they're going to
game
spend on.
is
So
pretty much out of the
in your
picture
case,
now.
like you were saying,
So your
gas has gone
bottom line,
more
how do
expensive
you
every
plan
time
to
you've
play
gone to
the
work.
game the rest of
Well,
this
then that
year,
makes
right?
you think twice
Just
about
turn the
going out and
football
buying
over
other
more
things,
turnovers
even
and see
though
how that
it has
works.
nothing to do with maybe Trump or the tariffs. It's just we don't know. Like, we don't keep up on this stuff every day. So the price
Throwing
we're
on
paying is all we
second
know, right?
down. Prescott.
Exactly.
So
He finds his man
just
complete.
interesting things.
That's
But
Ferguson.
I mean,
And he's going to be knocked
it's what
down
do you guys
hard
think?
at the end of that one. That's a staple
Follow-up
of this
question.
offense.
So,
Drag route
do
to
you
the
think we're
tight
headed
end.
towards
Yeah, he's unable
recession?
to use
And
his
I
size
feel
to
like
break off much
you
more
can make the
yardage
prediction
after the
based off
catch,
like
but
history
still
of
an
like
effective
America going
gain
through recessions. Like,
nonetheless.
have we gone through
Hmm.
something similar before? And if we have, did it lead to a recession, or what did it end up leading
To
to?
throw is Prescott.
You know what? That's very interesting when you ask me that, because I was
Going
thinking
right
about that
back to
today.
Ferguson.
I
And
was
he's going
actually
to get
thinking
this
about
to
the
the
whole like
31, but that is still well
I
short of
saw
what
a
he
video
needed.
on Instagram
Now hold everything here,
from
taking a
a
timeout by the
primarily
offense. And with that,
liberal
they're down to one
news
remaining here in
source.
the second half.
And it's not like a nationally
Back in the
televised news source or
offense,
anything like
still
that. I'm
out
not talking
there.
about CNN here. I'm
And
talking
they're
about
going to
other
go
stuff, right?
for it.
So it's just an Instagram account. And one of the things that they said was that the government, by reducing protections, and it's called deregulation, by deregulating, which is what Trump's real agenda was.
Things like that. There is a period of transition.
10 of the last 11 recessions since the 1950s have happened under Republican presidents. The odds of that happening by chance are 1 out of 31, suggesting their policies play a large part. And Trump just admitted he can't rule out the possibility, as economists warn a recession could be coming due to his actions. Republicans deregulate markets, allowing corporations and financial institutions to operate without safeguards. That's what economists believe caused the 2008 financial crisis. And Trump has launched one of the most aggressive efforts to reduce federal regulation.
But I was thinking about that today, and they were basically saying that deregulation by the government, aka like all the climate change regulation, all the you don't have to necessarily have certain capital. So like banks, we exist in a economy where fractional banking is a thing. I know you guys have probably learned about this, where the government, when you go to a bank and you deposit $10,000, they're by law only required to keep 1,000, and then they can lend out the other 9,000, and then that's how they make money. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why if everyone ever tries to come in and withdraw all their money at once, the bank doesn't let you, because what happened with Silicon Valley Bank last year, the year before that, it's called the bank run. The bank literally does not have everyone's money at once because it's lending it out. That's how they make
Yeah.
their business money. So given that whole idea, fractional banking, what the government is basically doing now is, instead of it saying you need only to have $1,000 in the bank from the
Mm-hmm.
people that gave you 10,000, maybe now because of deregulation you only need $500.
Oh,
So
wow.
this person on the Instagram account basically arguing that certain policies like that might spur more economic growth within businesses could also more easily lead to a recession because that means that there's that much less money that the bank's holding, so that if people were to want to withdraw money, well, now they only have 500 instead of 1,000, which is worse. Which theoretically, I get that point. Like, I completely understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, you're talking about past examples. They were talking about 2008 when this happened. When
Yeah.
the deregulation that we were talking about in that particular case is completely different from the deregulation now. So in 2008, what happened was they were giving people, just anyone and their mom, mortgages without doing background checks or credit checks. And then they were taking those mortgages and selling it in groups to other banks. It'd be like, oh, I just gave Johnny a mortgage. I'm not picking on you, Johnny. Let's just say Johnny's making $200 a month and the mortgage is 1,300. But I don't care that Johnny can't afford it. I'm just gonna go ahead and sell Johnny a mortgage on $1 million house, and he'll figure out how to afford it. If not, not my problem, because I'm gonna take that mortgage I gave Johnny and all the interest and the risk on it. I'm Bank of America. I'm just gonna sell it to JP Morgan, and it's gonna be JP Morgan's problem. And they just did that, rinse and rinse and repeat. Well, sure as hell, common sense tells you that eventually people are not going to pay on their mortgage, and that's exactly what happened. Housing prices fell, people were underwater, and then that's when the recession led. But my point being, that's a very extreme example. So comparing that now to all the protections that we have, even if they are becoming a little more limited than they used to be, and we're kind of deregulating a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time when those things happened, it was like looking back, you go, oh my God, these people were super stupid. Like, that was common sense. In this particular case, doing certain things, yeah, maybe it's not the best thing for individuals, and maybe it's more of a business perspective that they're taking and adopting. But like you said, John, I don't think we're going into recession because I don't think we're going to have situations like that one where we're doing crazy stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it makes sense. Yeah, like we won't hit the Big Short, like the film, like
yeah,
that
have you
whole
ever guys ever
scenario.
seen
But
that movie?
yeah, it's a great film. Breaks it down
Yeah.
exactly what happened. Because I mean, our parents went through that. I remember because I remember talking to my dad briefly about this. Like, I mean, the whole recession. He's like, yeah, it hasn't gone to that point yet, to where we'd have to
Oh,
deal with
X is wide
similar
open.
financial issues that like they dealt with back then in terms of like the quote unquote recession that we're possibly hypothetically going through
Yeah,
or
my parents lost
leading
their
up
house
to.
because of that.
Yeah. But
So,
like as I talked to my dad about it, he mentioned that it's there to now it's different in terms of, as Andrew mentioned, the whole regulation. Everything has amped up since then to protect the consumer at times.
favorite clip from the movie The Big Short.
Now Prescott.
Oh,
Work in the middle of the field, and
we've
he's
just been
got
having to get real creative now on these routes.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so cool.
it's the part when Ryan Gosling, they're asking him if the bonds are going to fail at 8%. And he goes, yes, I've done the math. Look at him. Look at him. He's my
Asian guy.
quant. He's my quant. And it's the Asian guy. That's funny. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So,
And then they made a little side cut where he's like, I'm actually full American. I'm going to speak Chinese.
My quant.
You're what?
My quantitative. My math specialist. Look at him. You notice anything different about him? Look at his face.
That's pretty racist.
Look at his eyes. I'll give you a hint. His name's Yang. He won a national math competition in China. He doesn't even speak English. Yeah, I'm sure of the math.
Actually, my name's Jiang, and I do speak English. Jared likes to say I don't because he thinks it makes me seem more authentic. And I got second in that national math competition.
I have a prediction that the market will still finish the year higher than when it finished right now, just despite all this craziness that's going on. All right. We got to move on to the next game, but we're not quitting.
Nope. We don't quit. As you hear, folks, we don't quit. Losers quit.
I pretty much what you just said. I think the market's going to end up stabilizing itself. I think right now things are looking really bad, but I am very hopeful that things will look better. Probably by the end of the fourth year. I don't know. We'll see. I'd like to think so.
Cool. We need some positivity to start.
Right.
Also, as I was mentioning, regarding like, yeah, people want to be more expressive with their
Oh boy.
passions.
I'm so sorry, guys.
What'd you do?
And that is no good. No good. Wide to the left.
Oh
And
Lord.
this will remain a
Yeah.
All right, keep
Okay.
going, Max. Sorry.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I think a lot of people are start doing similar to what you're doing right now, which is really good because the common person is you see on the news like, oh, these people, fancy degrees, fancy, whatever. They have all this money, but if it's normal people like us, just few guys, few literally 20-year-olds that are like discussing this and are talking about it. Oh shit, breaking it down in a very just simple and just conversational tone. I think it
Mm-hmm.
really will help people grow and learn. It's a lot easier to learn that way than like, let's say, like when we took economics, just sitting in a lecture class. For people who aren't as like super interested or want to really know, they're just
Mm-hmm.
in their own head lackadaisical about the whole entire class experience. As you saw, like only like a third of the class ever showed up.
Also, too, like that's why I also was having that conversation about gas prices and oil because we brought in real life experiences that you guys have and connected it to a topic that otherwise is kind of boring if you think about it. But why is it boring? It's boring because people that are older, that are sitting on TV in suits that regardless of whether I watch it or not, are going to be millionaires and could care less what I think of them as a
Mm-hmm.
21-year-old who are protecting the money of people that are also older and have already done it in life and aren't going through the same struggles and points in their lives. Why am I going to want to spend my time listening to someone like that? There's no feeling of understanding. There's no feeling of relatability. There's no sense of care, really, which is weird to say about because it's like, how can someone on TV give me the sense that they care? Well, I mean, they can because you just feel it off the back of your head. That's why certain people that are younger watch certain content that tends to have younger people that seems to kind of understand their thing. That's why there's this thing called algorithms on Instagram because people like different things.